Hello, wonderful scholars. We're gonna get started on replicating Picasso's Girl Before a Mirror. So we're gonna start off by putting this little plus sign and opening a blank document. Once we do that, we make sure to get the ellipse tool. So the first one's gonna be select, the crop tool, calligraphy tool, or actually it leaves you to the last one that you used. So right here you could have the calligraphy, the brush, and then the fourth one should be the shape tool. So I went ahead and I chose the ellipse. I need to make sure that my fill is at a 0%. Outline is 100% black. The line, the width should be at about a 6, and the cutout should be a 0. If your cutout is at whatever percentage, then you should be having another shape inside of your ellipse, and you don't want that. So make sure it's at a 0. So make sure you have your settings to this. Now, wherever I see an oval or a circle, I'm gonna go ahead and use my ellipse tool and just replicate that. And let's say you accidentally do a lot of circles in a lot of places, and that's what I'm gonna do right now. So circle here, left, right, left, right. And notice how my circles are not coming out exactly how I want them. That's okay, because right now I am just focusing on the shapes, and then later on I'm gonna focus on kind of composing them to make it similar to the original piece. So as you can see, they're way off, right? I'm gonna go ahead and get the select tool, and I noticed that this oval right here is aligned somewhat to the bottom. So I'm gonna move this to the side. I'm gonna move this, I'm gonna rotate it, and I'm gonna make it slightly more wide. I have to make sure that it's somewhat aligned like this. The same thing with this one. I'm gonna move it a little bit closer. I'm going to rotate it, because if we see it's slightly diagonal here, slightly slanted. The belly should be a little bit higher. The circles that are supposed to represent the breast, I'm gonna go ahead and move them a little bit higher as well. Whoops, make sure you click on it, make sure that before you move it, you have a square around it. I'm gonna make this one slightly wider, move it a little closer. So if you notice, I'm trying to just align everything. There should be a little space right there. This one's a little bit too, and it doesn't have to be perfect. Just try your best to have this as aligned as possible. We're working on our composition. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna look at the original piece, and I notice that there's a few triangles. There's a triangle here, there's a triangle here, there's a little triangle here. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm gonna change my ellipse tool, and I'm going to use the triangle. Same settings, make sure it's at a 0% fill, outline 100. The line width is at a 6, and the cutout it's at a 0. And you could automatically, like if you wanted to make a purple triangle, you could change the fill to make a purple triangle. And like some people say, you could kill two birds with one stone. So you can do something like this where you move it around. But personally, I feel like it can be a bit confusing. It just depends. If you want to finish faster, you can just go ahead and change the fill and already have it there. I just feel like it takes way longer to change the fill every time you're going to be using the shapes. So instead of doing this, what I'm going to do, oh, by the way, when you want to erase something, you can either click on it and click the little trash can, make sure it's selected and click the backspace button, or you can just go ahead and have the shape and then just right here click undo. So those are 3 different ways that you can erase something that you don't want. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that my fill is at a 0. I don't know, I feel like it's just much easier when it comes to filling everything in all together instead of doing one by one. So there's a triangle here for the neck. There's another triangle right here for the neck. A little bit bigger. Actually, I'm gonna make it a little bit smaller. And if you notice, it's not right under the head. It's a little bit more towards the left. Oh, see there? So make sure you click on it so that it selects and then move it around. You can also use your keys to move it around, the little arrows to move it down. And I feel like that's about it. Oh, and right here we see another little triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and do another little triangle. And remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. This triangle is a little bit closer. So then when I put this little triangle next to the neck, I noticed that this circle is actually a little bit too much to the right. So I'm going to move it. And then I'm going to move this one too. So there we have it. We have our shapes. Now what I'm going to introduce you to is the line tool. The line tool is really easy to use. So right here, right under the crop tool, we're going to go ahead and click the line tool. And same thing, make sure that your width is at about a 6. As soon as I click on my paper, this little line is going to follow me, this little blue line. To get rid of that line, you just click on this little trash can right here. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to do this line. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in right here. And let's say I don't like where I actually started the line. I could just go ahead and move it a little bit more to the left. So you could just click on it and then just move it around. And what I'm going to keep doing with this line tool is I'm going to keep making little dots, and wherever I make those dots, my line is going to follow. I'm just going to go ahead and make it all the way to the bottom. As soon as I'm done, you could either just click back so that the line won't follow you, but make sure that you also go ahead and click on the little check mark to make sure you put finish editing so that your lines could stay. Let's say you're not happy with this line because this line, you could see a lot of corners, it's bumpy, and right here you don't see all of that. If you want to get rid of it, what you can do is you can click on the select tool, click on your line one time, and then click on it again. So make sure it's 2 times. Then your little dots are going to appear. And this is why I like to use the line tool, because you could go ahead and start moving your little dots and then the lines would just keep following. If this is coming out too much, oh, I forgot to click here. I can just go ahead and bring it inwards a little bit more. And then just click finish editing. So there we have our line. I'm going to keep using the line tool to do the leg right here at the bottom. And you can also use the path tool. I was actually going to introduce you to that one, but it's a little bit more complicated and I don't want to confuse you. So we're going to be using the line tool for now. Then right here, I'm going to get started. I'm going to make a line right here. I'm just going to click right here. Actually, I'm going to click right here, right here. And I'm going to just do this shape. And if it doesn't click, just zoom in. And then continue with your lines. Go back one and then click finish editing. I'm going to go ahead and make a little dot right here just because. There you go. So there we have the bottom leg. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this line right here. I'm going to start from the top and work my way down. So using the line tool, same length, same everything. I have not changed the settings. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go back one, and then I'm going to click Finish Editing. And I know that my line's kind of off, so I'm just going to go ahead and click the Select tool, click on this little last line, and I'm going to move it this way because it's more slanted. Then I'm going to get, you see what I did just there? If I want to get rid of this line, you can just click on it, and once this little green line appears, you can click the backspace, or you can click the little trash can on the top, and you will get rid of that line. That's another thing that I had a lot of students saying that they had a difficult time with. When that blue line appears, if you accidentally make lines, it's gonna keep following you. So if you put undo, sometimes they won't undo. You can undo them just to get rid of them, but if this line keeps following you and if you keep making lines by accident, another thing that you can do is just click on the line, and when this green line appears, just click the little trash can or click your backspace. So I highly recommend that you go ahead and you do that. And then another thing I'm going to recommend is to put the little check. Move your lines around when you're not satisfied. And then don't forget to click the little check. So right now I'm going to continue with the stomach. I'm going to go ahead, get the line tool again, make sure I have it on. And I'm going to start doing the belly. So it starts off somewhere around right here. And then I'm just going to follow the line. I'm going to make sure I click the little check mark, and there I have my belly. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of the drawing just using the line tool. And before I do that, I'm going to show you guys how to do the mirror. So originally we were using the ellipse tool. We were just using this tool right here, the ellipse tool. But for the mirror, I'm actually going to use the square because I found some pretty cool ways to work with the mirror without making it so round. So I'm going to click on square. And the cool thing about this is if I make a square, first, before we do that, I'm going to delete this. We need to make sure that the width is at a 6. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a square. You see what I just did here? The cool thing about when you have a shape is that right here it gives you a lot of options. So you could elongate it, you could rotate it. So notice what I just did right there. The original image is a little bit more round. So what I'm going to do is this is selected. Notice how there's a square around it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the roundness. I didn't even know this existed until recently. So roundness, you see how it's just becoming more round, more round. So I'm going to stop right there because this shape is actually closer to this shape than the original oval that we had with the ellipse tool. Another thing that we can do to automatically get the inside, the interior, now we can go ahead and add a cutout. So remember the cutout creates a circle inside. This is a faster way to get it done. Now, if right here it's too tight, all you have to do is make it a little bit wider. Maybe you want to move the entire thing so that it could be aligned with the head, aligned with this. You have enough space for the hand here, enough space here as well, enough space for the other side of the belly. So I feel like this seems about right. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop there. Again, play around with the sizes, keep playing with the line tool, and try to do the rest of the drawing on your own. You got this, okay? So again, make sure your line is always 100% and make sure that the width is always at a 6. Always remember to have no fill, and I'll show you how to continue with the rest.